Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Oh, who is President Trump going to pick as his running mate, his vice presidential candidate? It's speculation everywhere. Everywhere. Many have said, and I'll go through the list here in the article, have said it's a matter of personality, maybe gender. In other words, a male that's not an alpha male like he is would be more of I don't know what the word is for a lower key male, beta male. I'm not sure how that goes. But he wouldn't mind an alpha female because he doesn't feel threatened. It's just a personality quirk some people think Trump has. I really don't know. It's all speculation. Let's read on. Donald Trump's aides are vetting potential vice presidential candidates at Mar-a-Lago as the former president floats an expansive list of names in private conversations. Yes, private conversations. Now we're past the 1 minute mark. I can really say what I think. Unlike Kamala Harris, whose background is for shit, Democrats don't care what your background is. They just wanted a woman who was non-white. That's just my opinion, of which I am entitled, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. Her background didn't care. How she kept people in jail so they could fight forest fires at slave wages. How she put tens of thousands of people in jail as Attorney General of California for marijuana possession. Meanwhile, she's talking about the weed she smoked with rappers. So, you know what? They don't, obviously, Democrats don't care, but the problem is a Republican VP, if they had a jaywalking ticket in 1991, that would be it. That would be the end. The end. And that's the problem with this two-tier system. Let's read on. Susie Wild, the top advisor to Trump, is leading a close to the vest process of narrowing a list of around a dozen lawmakers and other Republican personalities under consideration, according to multiple people familiar with the process. I love that. People familiar with the process. What is that, the janitor? The campaign has already hired an outside firm to vet candidates and prepare research documents. Now, they may put a whole bunch of people in this firm they outsourced, put a whole bunch of people that had no business choosing, maybe as a distraction in case it leaked. We'll have to see. Former First Lady Melania Trump, who influenced Trump's decision to select Mike Pence in 2016, has been kept appraised. And Trump's son, Don Jr., said he speaks with his fellow frequently about who was in contention. While who is up or down seemingly changes by the minute, the list has included everyone from Tim Scott, Kristi Noem, to Barbara McDonald's, Elise Stefanik, who is just north and west of me. I'm in upstate New York. She's up in the Adirondacks, just above Albany. Tulsi Gabbard, who will never get it ever. If you take Tulsi Gabbard right off the list, that won't happen. J.D. Vance, interesting choice, who Trump called a fighter. Trump, despite saying he doesn't think the vice president matters all that much, regularly asks guests at his Mar-a-Lago club for their opinion on different options. And with a flair for suspense, teases his choices in private meetings and media interviews. The process is expected to take months. Well, the clock is ticking down. He's going to have to stick it here pretty soon. He's going to draw this out apprentice style, said one close to Trump campaign who was granted anonymity to speak freely. The former president has said his top criterion is picking someone who's going to be a good president in case of emergency. I remember there's a scene in The West Wing when the president, when he was running for president, they showed how he won, picked his candidate. It was a really top Democrat that lost in the primary to the person ended up being, I forget the president's last name in that show. And they said, why would you pick him? And he wrote on a piece of paper and folded it up and handed it to his top aide. And that said, in case I die. That's exactly what I think. Now, in the old days, when I say old days, my lifetime, vice presidents were picked on geographic location. That seemed to go out of style in the we'll say late 80s, early 90s, when Bill Clinton picked Kentucky senator, and we can go through the rest of the list. Pence was picked because he was a soft-spoken, devout Christian, which put him well with the evangelical people in 2016 when they weren't sure on Trump. And we can go on and on. But there's so many different reasons to pick a VP. Who the hell do you pick? The name's under consideration and continue to be in flux. People describe it as being in pencil, not pen. Of course. Marco Rubio, Vance of Ohio, Senator Scott from South Carolina, Kristi Noem, who I think is in the top 3. That's just my opinion. Sarah Huckabee won't do it. Doug Burgum of North Dakota, maybe, being he's kind of a no-name nationwide. Donald's a Florida representative, and Gabbard, a former Hawaii representative, among others, are also being considered. Now, Gabbard will never get it. The problem is with Donald's, he's from Florida. He'll have to change his address because the president and the vice presidential candidates can't be from the same state. Trump seems to relish the guessing game. Well, of course. He's a showman. It's PR. Who is he going to pick? Who is he going to pick? Who is he going to pick? And it takes up a lot of news and airtime. Since he clinched the nomination just recently, it's been in the front end. During one private meeting weeks ago in Palm Beach, Florida, he went down the possible running mates with visitors, including one member of Congress. He spoke highly of Stefanik and Gabbard. Now, Gabbard won't get it. You know, I hate to say this out loud, but I think as far as winning goes, and I think that should be almost as important as if I die, this person can be president. People are going to kill me when I say this, but don't take Nikki Haley off the list. And I don't like her either, but maybe as a practical matter. And Trump is a pragmatist. I was hot and cold on Elise Stefanik. She's just maybe a couple hours northwest of me in upstate New York. I live in the southern tier, just below Syracuse, above the PA border. In her district, the Adirondacks, just above Albany. And at first, I wasn't a big fan of hers. I warmed up to her a lot the last few months. And so we'll have to see. Still, in a sign of his vacillation, I'm not familiar with that word, Trump spoke positively about Scott as recently as last week. He'll ask you about people, said Tommy Tuberville, the senator from Alabama. All I can tell you is this. If you're hearing any names, it's not going to be them. It's all propaganda. Kellyanne Conway, the former senior counsel of Trump in the White House, suggested Trump might choose someone who can help him win and govern. Help him win is the important part. Now, would you pick a total slug if they could help you win? Of course not. It's a balancing act, to be sure. And not to be a distraction as he tries to expand his reach to minority voters, women, and political independents. Specifically, he said Trump should select someone who can speak about abortion with conviction and compassion and articulate what it means to be a pro-life Republican versus a pro-choice Democrat in 2024. The abortion issue is the only issue the Democrats feel they have standing. They have zero standing on foreign relations, zero at all that's going on. They have zero on immigration. They have zero on economic matters. All down the line, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. The only thing really two things. One, Donald Trump is a monster that will destroy democracy and abortion. That's all they have. She added that when Trump is thinking about vice president, he's also considering people for top positions in a potential administration. That's true. The short list of the VP might very well be some cabinet posts or other choices. The VP is the most important decision, but he's widely focused on personnel all around. That's the mistake he made the first time. He was an outsider. A lot of Republicans didn't like him in 2016 when he won. And when he got sworn in 2017, he took a lot of their advice. The Paul Ryans, the ones I call undocumented Democrats. He leaned on people that have been in that world before. He's never been in that world. That's one world Trump has never been in, was the political world, especially of Washington, D.C. It was a world he's not good in and he wasn't experienced in. So he relied on people and he trusted people, and that bit him in the ass. People don't know Trump beyond sort of his TV personality or business guy. You need a little more balance. And I think that made a lot of sense with Mike Pence at the time. That's true. Trump Jr. told Politico at a rally for Senate candidate Jim Banks in Indiana. Now I think is where our country is. You need someone who's actually going to fight. One contender Trump has viewed in that light is Vance, J.D. Vance of Ohio, who would be called a fighter. I would be interested in doing it if he asked me, but he also hasn't asked me, Vance said in an interview. I don't think he's close to asking anybody, so I think it feels extremely premature. As he searches for a running mate this year under those considerations, we're finding ways to be helpful with the campaign. Scott, for example, talks with Trump by call or text nearly weekly, according to a person with knowledge of the relationship. The senator is also highly involved as a Trump campaign surrogate on TV. He's making fundraising calls on Trump's behalf. You know, I like Senator Scott. And then we have Burgum and former GOP primary rival Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek would not be a good vice president. Vivek would be good at getting the crowd worked up. The guy is really, really smart. He's incredibly articulate, very, very well spoken, and he's highly intelligent. He'd be great at raising money. Burgum, who ran unsuccessfully the Republican nomination, recently traveled to Nevada as a Trump campaign surrogate to speak to Clark County Republicans. I talked to a former president, but I know he's going to make a choice about his cabinet and about who's vice president at the time of his choosing, Bergman said. The significance of a running mate on the election outcome has long been the subject of debate. Mitt Romney, who ran for president in 2012, seemed to agree with Trump's skepticism, which is unusual, saying in an interview, generally, vice president picks make no difference in an election. As they say, VP picks can hurt you, but they really help you. That's one of the few things that Mitt Romney has ever said of any importance that I agree with. But any decision would make a difference in the general election that may be determined by a few critical counties across a handful of battleground states. Those, yeah, the Michigans, the Wisconsins, the Pennsylvania, the Georgia, North Carolina, all those states. This person will only be one heartbeat away from the presidency during Trump's next term, but he will likely be our nominee in 28. Yeah, so, you know, they got a lot to choose from, unlike the Democrats. I'm a Republican strategist close to campaigns that each candidate comes with their own set of baggage. That's true. Everybody. I wouldn't want everything I've ever done in my entire life from the front page of the New York Times. It's just unbelievable. I mean, they're looking for somebody that's perfect, and there was one perfect person. Trump campaign spokesman Steve Chang said Trump would choose the best possible person for the job and someone who will fight for America First values. He is overwhelmed with good choices. And all you anti-Trump people out there, wow, they all suck. They're all MAGA people, blah, blah. Cut the crap. I don't want to hear your bullshit. Compared to the Democrats and the quality of the candidates, he is spoiled for choice. And that sounds like a good thing, but sometimes it makes you freeze because you have so many good choices you don't want to screw up. When you have 5 people and 4 of them are iffy and 1 is really good, your choice is easy. Trump is expected to make his decision before the Republican nominating convention in July. Well, of course. But it's likely not imminent, and his campaign faces some calendar restraints. Trump will be preoccupied with court appearances for a month this spring. Yeah, that one trial, he's have to be in court 4 days a week. This is what part of why they're doing it, is to take away his cash so he can't put his own money in his campaign and tie him up in court so he can't campaign and do rallies. Meanwhile, Trump's campaign has turned the running mate selection process into a vehicle for their fundraising emails, and good for them. As one such email read recently, want to know who my VP will be. Well, I get emails from the Trump organization all the time, constantly, and that's okay. I really don't mind. But there you have it. What is he going to do? I don't even think he knows. But it's narrowing down. The clock is ticking. And he's made big decisions in his life considering his business. I think he made the right choice in Pence. I think it just turned out badly under the circumstances that happened. I'll tell you honestly, if COVID hadn't swept the world and the United States, in this case, I think Trump would have remained loyal to Pence, and I think Trump would have got a second term. The Democrats should have let him win. They shouldn't have went 110% against him, because they ended up with Joe Biden, and they tarnished their brand, if it wasn't tarnished already. The Democrat Party's brand is now in the toilet. How do you rebrand yourself? It takes a long time to come back, especially in national politics. It is, remember the saying from Tip O'Neill, the former Democrat Speaker of the House, all politics is local. So we're going to see. We're going to have to see. Just like Nikki Haley was Trump's UN ambassador choice, and now she's one of his antagonists and rivals. Not anymore, of course, she's out. You can make peace with people that you are rivals with. It happens all the time. Look at Bush under Ronald Reagan, for example. Bush wanted that nomination badly, and Reagan won it. Look at Barack Obama. Joe Biden wanted that nomination badly, and some really not so kind things about Obama. He ended up being his vice presidential pick. Look at John Kennedy. They picked Lyndon Johnson, of all people, who we couldn't stand. But he wanted, back then, Texas was a solid Republican state, more or less a swing state at the time, and Johnson was their senator. And that carried the state of Texas, which put him over the top. And the closest election, I believe, population vote-wise, in the history of the United States, as a percent. So we're going to have to see. Back originally in the Constitution, whoever came in second place in the presidential election was vice president. But they got rid of that in a hurry, because if that still held true, Trump's first term, Hillary Clinton would have been vice president. And in Obama's term, Mitt Romney and or John McCain would have been the vice president. Well, they got rid of that pretty quick when they found out that didn't work. And there were a couple of things in the Constitution they needed to fix, like the number of Supreme Court justices, but I digress. So we're going to have to see. I'm thinking myself, and this is just a gut feeling, it's someone known in political circles, in Republican circles or conservative circles, but not known nationally. Somebody that's going to have to be introduced to the country, but maybe not to the region that individual is from. We're going to have to see. But that's what my gut tells me. Think about making predictions. Nobody remembers when you were wrong. They always remember when you were right. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.